Astana Pro Team. UCI Team Code. AST is a professional road bicycle racing team sponsored by the Samruk Kazina, a coalition of state-owned companies from Kazakhstan, and named after its capital city Astana. Astana attained UCI Pro Team status in its inaugural year, 2007, following a major doping scandal involving Kazakhstani rider Alexander Vinokourov. Team management was terminated and new management brought in for the 2008 season. The team was then managed by Johan Bruiel, former team manager of U.S. Postal Discovery Channel team. Under Bruiel, the ethical nature of the team did not improve, although Astana in this period was very successful, with a lineup including Grand Tour winner Alberto Contador, as well as runner-up Andreas Klodin. The results were there. However, the team was on the verge of financial collapse in May 2009. A battle for control of the team led to the return of Vinokourov for the 2009 Vuelta a España, caused Bruiel and at least 14 of its riders to leave at the end of the 2009 season. Most for Team Radio Shack. Only 4 Spanish riders, including Contador, and most of the Kazakhs remained with the rebuilt team for 2010. Those 4 Spaniards all left the team for Saxo Bank Sungard in 2011. History. Demise of Liberty Seguros Worth. Astana first became involved in sponsoring cycling during the 2006 season. The Spanish Liberty Seguros Worth team was heavily implicated in the Operation Puerto doping case, and the sponsors Liberty Mutual, and later Worth, withdrew their sponsorship of the team. Astana stepped in to sponsor the team, and during the second half of the season, Vinokourov won the Vuelta a España while riding for the renamed Team Astana, and his Kazakh teammate Andrei Kashechkin finished third. 2007. Formation of the new team. The new Astana management initially tried to buy the Prota license of the former Liberty Seguros Worth team, held by Manolo Saiz. However, Saiz was reluctant to sell, so Astana applied for a license in their own right. Initially, the new team was based in Switzerland under the holding company of Zeus Saal and managed by former Tour de Suisse organizer Marc Biver. Vinokourov was the team's debut leader. The UCI Prota License Commission first informed Astana that they would not be granted a Prota license for the 2007 season, following UCI's decision not to grant a Prota license. The organizers of the 3 Grand Tours informed Astana team that they would be included, regardless of Prota license status. On 20 December 2006, the UCI License Commission relented and awarded Astana team a 4-year Prota license. Other prominent new riders for the 2007 season included stage race specialists Andreas Klodin, Paolo Savoldelli and Andrei Kashechkin, as well as Matthias Kessler, Gregory Rast, Thomas Frey and Spanish climber Antonio Colom. 2008. Riding under a Luxembourgian license. The team also included other ex-Discovery Channel riders such as Tomás Vaitkus, Sergio Paulinho, Checha Rubiera, Vladimir Gusev and Janusz Brajkovic, as well as American Chris Horner. The Astana team was not invited to the 2008 Giro d'Italia based on failing to meet the criteria of ethics, quality, or internationality. However, on 3 May, 1 week before the start of the race, Giro organizers chose to extend a last-minute invitation to Astana. Astana was able to field a team despite the short notice, and on 1 June, Alberto Contador won the Giro, finishing 11th on the final stage time trial to keep his pink jersey and take the overall victory. Contador also won the 2008 Vuelta a España. with teammate Levi Leipheimer finishing a close second. Thus, despite not competing in the Tour de France, Astana still won 2 Grand Tours in 2008 and achieved 3 podiums. Leipheimer also won a bronze medal in the time trial in the 2008 Olympics, just edging Contador, who finished 4th. Among the other results achieved by the team were victories in several stage races by Contador in the Vuelta al País Vasco and the Vuelta a Castilla y León, by Leipheimer in the Tour of California, by Clodin in the Tour de Romandie, and by Russian Sergei Ivanov in the Tour de Wallonie. Various team members also achieved several other top-tier results. Ivanov, Paulinho, Vikus and 2 of the Kazakhs won their national championships. Astana's strict anti-doping policy came to the forefront later in the year. On 28 July, Astana fired Vladimir Gusev for showing abnormal values in an internal doping check. In a release from team director Johan Bruehl, it was indicated that although the results do not indicate the use of banned substances, the team has therefore applied the contractual terms based on these physiological and biological abnormalities, dismissing Gusev with immediate effect. On 17 June 2009, almost a year later, the Court of Arbitration in Sport ruled that Bruynol's company, Olympus Saal, which held the rider contracts, had violated Swiss employment contract law by firing Gusev on the suspicion of doping without prior implementation of the special procedure provided under terms of the contract. The company was ordered to pay Gusev back wages, damages and legal costs. 2009. The return of Lance Armstrong. On 25 September 2008, it was confirmed that Lance Armstrong, at the time considered a 7-time Tour de France winner, would leave retirement to ride for the team in the 2009 season. Along with Armstrong, Yaroslav Popovic, another former Discovery Channel rider, joined the ranks of Astana, which brought the number of former Discovery Channel riders on Astana to 9. Armstrong, Popovic, Contador, Leipheimer, Rubiera, Noval, Vaitkus, Paulinho and Brajkovic. It was reported that Armstrong would share team leadership with current leader Contador, that he intended to participate in the Tour Down Under, the Tour of California, Paris-Nice, the Tour de Georgia, the Critérium du Dauphiné Libéré and the Tour de France, and that he would receive no salary or bonuses, instead directing his attention to raising awareness for cancer research. Along with Armstrong and Popovic, Astana also signed Jesus Hernandez, who had joined the former Liberty Seguros team in 2004 when Alberto Contador was one of the riders there, and Basque rider Jaime Zubeldia. Contador expressed his support for the return of Vino Kourov from his 2-year doping suspension, but seemed less enthusiastic about Armstrong's return. Armstrong was part of the team that participated in the season's first Pro Tour race, the 2009 Tour Down Under. The team's first victory of the season was the 6th stage, followed by the general classification of the Tour of California by Levi Leipheimer. In the same week, Alberto Contador won a stage and the classification of the Volta ao Algarve, and subsequently 2 stages in the Paris-Nice race. Armstrong's participation in the Tour was cast into doubt in late March, after he suffered a broken collarbone in the Vuelta a Castilla y León that required surgical repair. However, Armstrong was able to recover in time to ride in the 2009 Giro d'Italia. Financial crisis. On 6 May 2009, Astana admitted that it had failed to pay its riders amid the financial crisis in Kazakhstan. But a team spokesman said that this was only a delay. that the team was not in danger of folding, and that the team would compete in the 2009 Giro d'Italia as planned. On the 7th of May, Armstrong, riding for Astana on an unpaid basis, expressed his sympathy for employees waiting for their wages only days before the start of the Giro d'Italia. He also said that if the financial crisis was not resolved, the team's license should be turned over to Bruehl, which he said was the most logical solution. Quote, organizationally, Astana had an unusual structure. Although the Kazakh team holds the UCI license and pays the salaries, the individual rider contracts and equipment leases are held by Bruehl's Luxembourg-based Olympus SARL. So the team could continue with merely a license transfer. UCI President Pat McQuaid was planning a visit to Astana during the Giro to discuss the team's future. According to Armstrong, I don't have any concrete answers, but I suspect we can find some funding that would get us from June to the end of the year. On the 11th of May, the UCI set a deadline for resolving Astana's financial situation of the 31st of May, the last day of the Giro. If the team had not met its financial obligations by that date, it would be suspended by the UCI. Bruehl noted that at least the team would be able to finish the Giro under its current banner. During Stage 7 of the Giro, 8 of the 9 Astana riders, including Armstrong, rode in jerseys with the non-paying sponsors' names nearly faded out in protest over the team's unpaid salaries and remained in such jerseys for the rest of the Giro. The only rider not to participate was Ondrej Zeitz from Kazakhstan. According to Bruehl, the names of paying sponsors, such as Trek and Kazmunagaz, were not blanked out, and the team would continue to race with these shirts until everything, emphasis on everything, is fixed, as the riders have only received 2 months of salary in 2009. On the 19th of May, Bruehl announced that the sponsors had paid part of the past due wages since the start of the protest, but the major part is still missing. On the 3rd of June, the Astana team gave financial guarantees to cycling's governing body, which would allow them to compete in the 2009 Tour de France in July, and later that month declared their financial problems to be resolved and the funds secure at least to the end of the season. Vinokourov versus Bruehl . During these financial problems, it was rumored that 3 of the former Discovery Channel riders on the team leader Contador and his domestiques Noval and Paulinho, would join Garmin Slipstream for the Tour de France if Armstrong were to take over the Astana team. These problems seem to be resolved, at least for the remainder of 2009, when the team's funding was resolved. However, the funding battle may have been merely a skirmish related to the underlying issue. Control of the Astana team after the expiration of the 2-year doping suspension of Alexander Vinokourov on the 24th of July 2009. On the 2nd of July, Vinokourov stated that he would return to Astana, which he noted was created for me and thanks to my efforts when his suspension ended, and that he would ride for Astana in the 2009 Vuelta a España. He stated that he expected to reach agreement with Bruehl about his return within the week, but that, if Bruehl does not want me, it will be Bruehl who is leaving the team. The next day, the French newspaper Le Equipe reported that the Kazakh Cycling Federation planned to fire Bruehl, Armstrong, Leifheimer and many of the other riders and rebuild the team in the model of the old Liberty Seguros team, which was predominantly Spanish. The paper quoted the vice president of the Kazakh Federation as saying, quote, Contador will be our sole leader for years to come, and will be able to pick out the riders he wants to ride with him. In our mind, the team will be composed of Spanish and Kazakh riders, including Alexander Vinokourov. Quote, on the 21st of July, with Contador, Armstrong and Clodden holding 3 of the top 4 places in the Tour de France, Breuil told Belgian channel VRT that Astana as currently constituted was finished, and that he would be leaving the team, as Vinokourov and the Kazakh Federation had discussed, at the end of the season. Despite the comments by Vinokourov and the Kazakhstan Federation, Breuil and Vinokourov did not reach an agreement regarding Vinokourov's return to Astana for 2009. And the team submitted a preliminary roster to the 2009 Vuelta a España, listing him only as a reserve. Finally, on the 24th of August, Astana announced that an agreement had been reached between Vinokourov and Breuil and that Vinokourov would rejoin the team for the start of the Vuelta. The next day, Armstrong announced that Breuil would take over Team Radio Shack in 2010. The immediate result of Vinokourov's return and Breuil's departure was a mass exodus from Astana. Although Breuil still had a year to run on his contract, Astana permitted his departure in return for him not blocking Vinokourov's return. Contador also had a year on his contract, and Astana refused to permit his departure. However, much of the rest of the team departed for Radio Shack, including Armstrong, Clodden, Leifheimer, Zubeldia, Horner, Brajkovic, Popovic, Paulinho, Vaitkus, Rast, Rubiera and Muravyev, the only Kazakh to depart, which meant that 8 of the 9 members of the winning Astana team at the 2009 Tour de France moved to Radio Shack. Additionally, Sharon Morabito joined BMC Racing Team. All that remained of Astana was 4 Spanish riders: Contador, Noval, Navarro and Hernandez, and the Kazakhs, except Muravyev. Subsequently, the team signed 3 more Spanish riders, including 2006 Tour champion Oscar Pereiro, to support Contador, consistent with the July 2009 plan. The 2010 team included 12 Kazakhs and 7 Spaniards among its 26 riders. 2013 to 2016. Nibali era. When Contador left the team after the 2010 season, the Spanish faction of the team declined, to be replaced by an Italian element. In 2011 and 2012, the team signed Enrico Gasparotto, Mirko Lorenzetto, Francesco Mastroelli, Jacopo Guarnieri, Francesco Gavazzi, Simone Ponzi, and Fabio Aru, while in the same period of time David de la Fuente, Daniel Navarro, Jesus Hernandez, Benjamin Noval, Oscar Pereiro, and Josep Jufre resigned, so that by the beginning of the 2012 season there were no Spanish riders of the team. In 2013, the team signed Valerio Agnoli, Andrea Gardini, Alessandro Vanotti, and Vincenzo Nibali, who immediately won Tirreno Adriatico and the Giro d'Italia. Then Nibali wore the leader's jersey more than any other Italian in the history of the Vuelta. 13 stages out of 21, but lost first place to American Chris Horner, Radio Shack Nissan. In 2014, Vincenzo Nibali won the Tour de France and became the 6th cyclist to have won the 3 Grand Tours. In August the team announced they had signed Lars Boom, Lotton Jumbo, Luis Leon Sanchez, Caja Rural Seguros RGA, David Malacan, Direct Energy, and Diego Rosa, Androni Sidemak Botekcia, for the 2015 season. On August 20, the team announced the signing of Rain Tarami, Cofidis, on a 1-year deal, with the 2014 edition of Michel Scarponi, and in 2015, Dario Cataldo, The team at the beginning of the 2015 season had a plurality Italian element, with 9 riders out of 25, and only 5 Kazakh riders remaining. Doping controversies. The team recorded its first doping positive in April 2007, when Matthias Kessler tested positive for testosterone following a surprise control in Charleroi, and later analysis of his B sample. Later in July, Eddie Mazzaleni left the team after allegations of doping usage. Mazzaleni, who had finished third in the 2007 Giro d'Italia, was later suspended for 2 years for his alleged involvement in the oil for drugs doping case. On the eve of the 2007 Tour de France, Alexander Vinokourov confirmed he had received coaching from controversial Dr. Michel Ferrari. The next positive doping result came from team leader Vinokourov, after a positive result for blood doping, blood transfusion. As a result, ASO, the organizers of the Tour de France, invited Team Astana's management to withdraw the entire team from the Tour de France. This invitation was immediately accepted, following confirmation that Vinokourov's B sample had also tested positive. The Astana team announced that he had been sacked with immediate effect. On 1 August 2007, fellow Kazakh Andrei Kashechkin tested positive for homologous blood doping following an out-of-competition test in Belik, Turkey. He was suspended and subsequently fired. This was followed by the termination of José Antonio Redondo's contract after failing to abide by team rules, making him the 5th rider of the team to leave during the 2007 season. Following the doping problems of 2007, the sponsors of Astana replaced BayVer with Johan Bruijl, the former director sportif of the defunct Discovery Channel pro cycling team. Bruijl had the mandate to start afresh with the team, so he hired a number of former Discovery riders including 2007 Tour de France winner Alberto Contador, who had ridden with Vinokourov on the old Liberty Seguros team, and third-place finisher Levi Leipheimer. Additionally, Bruijl introduced the anti-doping system developed by Dr. Rasmus Damsgaard, head of information for Anti-Doping Denmark, ADD. The anti-doping system was initially used by Team CSC starting in 2007. The link between the Discovery Channel team and Astana was strengthened when Bruijl signed a contract with Trek Bicycle Corporation to supply the team with bicycles and components, as they had done with Discovery Channel. Bruijl also affirmed sponsorship with SRAM, the component maker. On 13 February 2008, the organizers of both the Giro d'Italia and Tour de France announced that Astana would be barred from their 2008 Grand Tours, due to the team's links to Operation Puerto and involvement in the 2007 Tour doping scandals. This meant that Contador was unable to defend his Tour crown, because his contract did not have an escape clause that covered Astana's current situation. 1 week before the 2008 Giro d'Italia, the organizers went on to invite the team to the race, a race which Alberto Contador went on to win. In July, Vladimir Gusev was sacked by the team due to irregular values, highlighted by the team's new internal anti-doping system. In 2009, after returning from retirement, Lance Armstrong was accused by the French anti-doping agency of acting improperly by disappearing from the site of the anti-doping investigator for 20 minutes. In June, Hassan Bazayev was given a 2-week internal suspension for not correctly reporting his whereabouts properly. In September 2010, Alberto Contador returned a positive doping test for clenbuterol at the 2010 Tour de France. After a 2-year legal procedure, Contador is stripped of his 2010 Tour de France win and 2011 Giro d'Italia victory. In 2011, Roman Kreuziger finished 5th at the Giro d'Italia as well as winning the Best Young Rider classification. In 2014, the UCI began proceedings against him for biological passport anomalies dated from 2011 and 2012. The 2 years he spent at Astana. In 2012, former Astana riders and staff including Lance Armstrong, Johan Bruel, Levi Leipheimer, Dr. Pedro Celaya and Dr. Luis Del Moral are heavily implicated in the mass doping scandal which surrounded the U.S. Postal Discovery Channel team. In September 2014, it emerged that Valentin Aglinski has returned a positive test for EPO at the Eneco Tour. He confessed to doping to the team and was immediately sacked. 3 weeks later, Valentin's brother, Maxim Aglinski, was provisionally suspended by the UCI for an EPO positive on August 1. It was later announced that Astana withdrew themselves from the Tour of Beijing for the MPCC rules, who state that a team with 2 positives in a short period of time must not participate in the next World Tour event. Subsequently, a sample taken at the Tour de l'Avenir in August from Ilya Davidenok, a rider with the Astana Continental team and a stagiaire with the Astana Pro team, tested positive for anabolic steroids. Davidenok was provisionally suspended, and a review into the team's license was announced following the positive tests for Davidenok and the Aglinski brothers. University of Lausanne independent audit. On February 27, 2015, cycling's governing body, the UCI, requested that the team's World Tour license be withdrawn following an audit of its doping controls by the Institute of Sports Sciences in Lausanne. The UCI stated that the audit revealed a large difference between the team policies presented to the License Commission and reality. On 23 April 2015, it was finally announced by the UCI that Astana would keep their license but would be under more scrutiny. Team roster. As of 1 January 2018. Major wins. National champions. See also. List of Astana riders. Official website.